So I guess I am live. There's gonna a little bit of delay for me on my side. Um, let's see. Okay, so hopefully you'll be able to see my screen in a second. Sorry, I'm looking off to the side here. I'm trying to make sure that everything is up and running. Um,
So I guess I
oh,
am live.
there it is. Okay, so this session this evening, and again, is round two, getting a little bit better at this live streaming situation. Is going to be all about the Edgenuity family portal for both elementary and middle school. I'm going to go ahead and start off with elementary now. There is a family portal for elementary. Um, Most parents already have an account. We're going to go ahead and reach out with information about how to get signed in. For now, if you are interested in signing in sooner than we get that information out, feel free to reach out to me. Again, Vincent Montoya. You can find an email link for me on our contact page at academyk8.aps.edu. Go to contact us in administration and you'll find my name there, Vincent Montoya. Go ahead and click on the email link and send me an email with your student name, ID number, and please send it from the email that you have attached to you in Parent View. And I will go ahead and set that up for you. But we will be disseminating more information out for families to get connected to the Edgenuity Family Portal for elementary. After this short brief intro to the Family Portal for elementary, I'll move into the Family Portal for middle school. So let's go ahead and get started. So the login page is sislogin.edgenuity.com, and that's going to be the same login page that students use to get in to the system. So you will have your own username and you'll have your own password as a guardian. You will enter that username and password here and then hit enter. Now, if you are attached as a guardian to multiple students, if you have your family with us at Academy K8, awesome, we're very glad to have you. You should be able to see all of your students that are in elementary school up there at the top. Here you'll see, let me go ahead and get my pointer tool. Here you see student 1 and student 2. If you have two different students, they would show up there at the top and you could toggle between them. I'm going to show you just the screens for one student, and this isn't live. Obviously, I'm not sharing live student data. Definitely wouldn't want to do that, so this is just some snapshots. But with the app, you would click on either one of these, but not the app. On the site, you would click either one of these buttons to see either of those students and toggle back and forth. So no logging out and logging back in to see multiple students. You should see them all on one dashboard. All right, and that's what this is, the dashboard here. On the dashboard, you're going to find an academic snapshot, and this is just going to give you a quick rundown of your students' progress and pacing in the courses in which they're enrolled. All right. This is very, very top level preliminary information. We're going to learn how to dig deeper here pretty quick. All right, so that's the dashboard. You'll see it here on the menu on the left. Now, how I got to this screen, I jumped a little bit. If you click on any of these hyperlinks here, it's going to take you to an observer app that allows you as a guardian to take a look at your student's course without actually having to log in as them. So your student is engaging in their schoolwork, they're doing their thing, and you don't have to worry about getting another device and signing in as them. Edgenuity doesn't like students to be signed into two different devices at the same time. Instead, you come here to your dashboard, you click on one of these classes, and it will open up the Observer app. Now this looks incredibly similar, at least it should look incredibly similar to the dashboard that students see when they sign in to their coursework. Except up here, you'll see that the title has changed for you because of the way you came in. This is the Observer app. So you can click on any of these courses. You can take a look at the modules that your student has been assigned without having to interrupt your student to sign in as them. Okay? You have your own sign in and your own access. You can click up here on the to-do list and activities stream and see if there's anything relevant and important posted in those areas as well. You can see here on this dashboard, you also get a current score and progress notifications for the courses. So you find that information here in yet another place. All right, this is the Observer app. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back to the dashboard. When you open up the Observer app, it opens up in a new tab. And we're going to go back to the dashboard, and instead of clicking on Dashboard on the left, we're going to click on Academic Snapshot. Now remember, on the dashboard we saw that small box that said Academic Snapshot. Here we get quite a bit more detail. Here we see the same courses. We've got language arts, math, science, social studies is cut off down here at the bottom, but it's there. And here we get to see quite a bit of detail. We get to see the student's grade. We get to see how they're doing with pacing. This particular student is ahead of pace in all courses. This may not be the case for your student. If these bars are, I believe the colors are red and yellow, then that would indicate that they are behind pacing, which is okay. This has been quite the semester. So if your student's making progress, that's awesome, and always moving forward is a good thing. Here is where you're going to see, according to the pacing that the teacher has set as they release modules for your student to engage in, the pacing is going to continue to advance, and your student and their completion in relation to that pacing is going to show. It's going to show here. All right. Now the grade is going to reflect not only their pace. So if they're on pace, that's fantastic. That has no negative effect on their grade. If they're behind pace, there will be a negative effect on their grade. But the grade also reflects their scores on activities that have been assigned to the student and submitted. All right. Now, if you have questions about these particular measurements for your specific student, definitely reach out to the teacher and ask, what are some strategies that I can employ to help my student either improve their grade if they're completing activities that aren't quite getting the score that you want, or if it's pacing, what is the best way that I can schedule my student to make more gains towards being on pace. But here's where you're going to get some of that data. All right, so here's percent completed. This student has completed a far greater percent of the course than what has been assigned. The target completion is only 52%. This student has done 89%. Be mindful of this score. Now, I didn't choose the best snapshot, and I apologize, but relative grade is going to show the student's grade as if everything for the entire semester has been assigned at once, and everything that they haven't seen yet is counted as a 0. So that relative grade is designed as a measurement of your student's grade if they stopped working for the entire semester right now. And since we know that's not the case, I want you to just take a moment and look at this relative grade and just say, you know what, when I pull this up for my student, this data point is not helpful, right? Unless your student plans, and I doubt they do, to stop working for the entire semester. That number is not going to be helpful. What you're going to want to look for is actual grade and overall grade. These are going to indicate both pacing and scoring of assignments that your student has turned in, and those are going to be those important data points that you want to discuss with your child's teacher. All right, this screen can be found by clicking Academic Snapshot on the left. There are several options here that we're going to want to take a look at. The next one is Student Activity. Now, here on the Student Activity screen, you can choose to show activity in the last month, in the last week, or you can choose specific dates. I chose this specific date just to kind of minimize the data that's in this presentation and give you an idea of what you're going to see. So for this particular student, on Wednesday, October 14th, during the entirety of that day, they worked on and completed 18 language arts assignments and 1 social studies assignment for the day. Now, if this read 0 and 0, that means no activities. That would mean that no activities were completed that day. If any activities were completed in math would be part of this report as well. So that means that No activities were completed in math or science this day, only language arts and only social studies. Now, this particular report doesn't show the amount of time that was spent or anything of that nature. It simply shows the number of activities that were completed for this particular time frame. And I selected specifically the from the beginning of the 14th to the beginning, which means they didn't do anything on the 15th yet, because this is the beginning of the 15th, so what, a minute after midnight, I think. If I wanted to show both days, both the 14th and 15th, I would have to select from October 14th to October 16th in order to see those days. All right, I recommend selecting this radio button and choosing, the previous month or the previous week. All right, so that gives you an idea of what's getting completed. This is especially helpful if guardians are working together with a learning coach that might be a grandmother, an aunt, an older sibling, and this allows you to keep track without having to be the actual learning coach working with the student at that time. It allows you to keep track of the activities that are being completed. So it's a great reference point if you're looking at maybe points of improvement, or even points maybe to take a break. Maybe it took a lot of effort to get that many activities done that day, and you realize that you don't need to complete that much to stay on pace, and maybe can include more breaks. So whatever your specific situation is, hopefully this data here will help. All right, so that is the student activity tab on the left. And again, I cut it off over here at the top just to make this as large as possible. But you would have two tabs for both of your students. So if you want to see the student activity for student 1, you would click their name, which would be up here normally. If you wanted to see it for student 2, you would click their name, which again would be up here normally if you have multiple students with us. Now, this is I'm just going back to the dashboard because I'm not going to go through these one by one, but there are areas for student messages. There's areas for guardian messages, messages sent to guardians specifically. You can take a look at course information and see the teacher's email. There's not much else. There's not much else there other than the email. And the reason I'm sharing this is because unless your teacher has explicitly said that they're using these messaging systems in Edgenuity, you're going to want to stick with the message or the communication policy of your teacher and look for messages in the areas that they have communicated to you that they're going to use in class. So don't assume that just because there is a messages button here that your teacher is using it. Make sure that if you are, I don't want to say confused because that's not the right word. If you are unsure of your teacher's communication policy, absolutely reach out and ask. Send a message in parent view, send a direct message in email, and say, you know what, where is the best place for me to be looking for messages from you? And teachers will gladly let you know what their policy is for their particular class, okay? So just know that just because this button is here, don't be surprised if you click on it and there aren't any messages. That just is not your teacher's chosen communication channel, all right? So down here, you can see you can add a guardian, or you can edit your account, where I believe you can change your password. So that takes us away from the elementary system, and we're going to move into the middle school system. Now, I know our middle school teachers have sent out communications about getting tied into the family portal. Our student information systems imported family information based on what is in parent view, and ultimately Synergy or SIS, our student information system. And oh shoot, I hope I'm still live streaming okay. My little side video looks like it's frozen, but fingers crossed things are going well. So hopefully you've already been connected. Now, you might be a new family, you might have missed that communication, and you don't have your login information for Edgenuity at middle school. Again, find me on the Contact Us page of our website, academyk8.aps.edu. Go ahead and click the email icon next to my name, Vincent Montoya, and send me a request, and I can get that information out to you. All right? So, oh, did I I guess I skipped a screen. All right. So you're going to have to imagine with me that you go into the login screen that students in middle school would normally go to. So edgenuity.com/login. Now the student, of course, there's many options there. They would choose a student login. You would instead choose the family login. Once you choose the family login, and after you've activated your account and sign in, you will be taken to this screen. And this is the dashboard for middle school. Now, just like elementary school, if you have several students with us, then you can use this button up here. So it's a little bit different system. You would click this button up here to select a student. So if you have multiple students with us, you would be able to click that button and select different students. Now, there's quite a bit of information here on the screen. This is a great welcome letter, to be honest. It gives you a summary of what's available to you in the family portal, as well as an explanation of what reports are available to you. I'm not going to go ahead and read it to you. I'll leave that for you. However, I will break down, if my screen will, yep, there we go, break down the bottom half. Basically, here's a quick intro and summary. The two reports that you have available are the attendance log and the progress report. That's it. Fairly simple. You get to see your students' active time, idle time, and the number of activities they've completed for any given day or week, and for any given course. That's in the attendance log. And progress report is going to be like that academic snapshot for elementary school students, where you can go in and see their progress and their grades for the different courses they're enrolled in. All right, those are the two reports. That's it. So let's go ahead and take a look at an attendance report. So in looking at this attendance report, well, there's a lot of information there, right? So let's give it a quick breakdown. First, you see this blue bar here. This gives you all of your data for the entire week. So from the time period selected, this particular block is going to be from the 18th to the 24th, and for that chunk of time, the student spent 20 hours, nearly 21 hours, and completed 49 activities. All right, is that enough? Is that too much? We're going to take a look at the pacing and see that in a moment. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This is just Monday the 19th, so it's broken down by the day. This student was logged in and in one way active or connected to Edgenuity between the hours of 8:52 and 3:30. That sounds like a pretty solid school day to me. So that's a total of a little more than 6.5 hours, and in that time completed 19 activities. Those activities were completed in these courses during these times. Now I do want you to notice this. The attendance report does log idle time. And idle time is when, it's not always negative. It can be negative, but it is definitely not always negative. Idle time is when the student has loaded a page, and instead of actively engaging in Edgenuity, they are working on an activity that is not Edgenuity based. Now this may be taking hand notes, this may be sketching something out, this may be actually building something in the physical space that they have to take a picture of and submit. So it may very well be school related. Idle time, they could be logged in and then take a break and go eat lunch. So no, that's not academic, but no, they're also not doing work in Edgenuity, and it's going to be logged as idle time. So if they're logged into Edgenuity but they aren't actively engaging in the program, it's going to be idle time. One thing that you would be concerned with is if you saw a login and maybe 7 minutes of activity in the morning, and then 5 hours of idle time, and then 30 minutes or 58 minutes even of activity at the end. 5 consecutive hours of idle time might be an issue of concern, especially if your student is behind pace. It means they may not be taking full advantage of the time they have available to engage in Edgenuity. However, those idle times that can be reasonably expected of a student to step away, those are going to be intermixed in within this log. Okay, so these are the courses that the student spent this amount of time in. Logged out of Edgenuity for whatever reason at 3:30, went to take a break, came back, logged in again for another session, and spent quite a bit of time. Let's see, well, 9 minutes. So I misread that. So spent 9 minutes, getting in and getting something done in the physical science class. Right? totally reasonable attendance day. So what you can do is click on the attendance log for your student, take a look, see how much time is spent in different courses. I recommend having a conversation either way. If you see a lot of activity and you know your student is working really hard to get on pace, definitely have that positive conversation. This is not an easy time to be doing doing school in general, and it might be your student's first experience with online learning. And if their attendance report looks like this is, I mean, this is indicative of a very hardworking student that is spending quite a bit of time trying to get activities completed. If instead you have concerns, I definitely recommend having a conversation with your student saying, hey, what can we do? Why do we have a lot of idle time, or why is there big breaks between you logging in? And what can we do to better get you connected into Edgenuity to be able to stay on pace or get caught up and get some of these assignments completed? Is there additional help they may need, or focus strategies? I know as a child I was relatively unfocused at times, and spent a lot of time with my parents developing focusing strategies to help keep me on task. So your student might need that, and especially again during this time of online, during this time when they have been introduced to online learning. All right. So this is the attendance log. Now going back to that dashboard and clicking on progress, it is going to show you it's going to show you this report for every one of the courses that your student is logged in. Now, instead of showing the entire page, I went ahead and snapped this screenshot so we could just have a more direct look at this. All right. So there's a lot of information here, to be honest, and I had to have a session with our other dean, the dean of middle school, Alex, to make sure I had my head wrapped around this, and to listen to him explain it so that I could best understand it and explain it for this session. All right, so I am going to do my best to make sure I don't mess this up, because this is quite a bit. There's a lot here. So the first thing we want to look at is this number right here, target completion. So there is, of all of the work that's going to be assigned for the semester, this indicates what has been, or what is expected of that total amount of work, what is expected to be completed at this point in time. So that's target completion of the entire course. So 50% of the entire course should be complete at this moment. What this student has done is 47.5. Now it's going to make sense that the student is going to be just below the target completion if they are on target. And if you notice, these squares are blue, and this legend here tells us that blue means on target. So this student's on target. But you might be wondering, wait a minute, no, he's not. He's got a 47.5% completed, and it's 50%. Each morning, Edgenuity assigns all of the work that's due that day. So it's going to be common, if not expected, that the student is going to be anywhere from 2 to 4% behind every day, because that just represents the amount of work that was assigned that day. So these two numbers being very close together is a very good thing. The student is on target. All right, so let's stick with the color scheme here and then go down. Let's take a look at overall grade. Now, overall grade, that means that the student is receiving this score based on all of the work that they have turned in. So excuse me. So if they turn in an assignment, they get a score on that assignment. That's going to get averaged. If it's a quiz, test, assignment, exam, lab, or project, all of that's going to get averaged in what they turn in, all of those scores. And it's not going to count any zeros that they might have because they're behind pace. Does that make sense? So this is the student's score based 100% on everything that they've turned in. So a student that could be very, very far behind and only turned in one assignment but got a very good grade on that assignment would have a very good grade here in the overall grade. All right, so where is pacing accounted for in the grade? And that's going to be over here in actual grade. So the student's actual grade is a combination of the scores they've received on what they've turned in and where they are in pacing. So if they're a little bit behind pace, that means they'll have zeros on those assignments that are in that day's work, and that is going to affect their actual grade. All right. So overall grade is what they've scored on based on what they've turned in. Actual grade is their overall grade inclusive of their pacing. And if they're behind pace, the actual grade is going to be a tad lower. All right. Relative grade, again, like elementary school, this is if this student stopped working today, what would be their score in their class. I recommend just ignoring this. And then complete count, this is the count of all assignments and projects and tests that are going to be assigned. How much of it has the student completed up to this point? So this complete count and target completion are going to be very, very close together regularly. So I would rely more on target completion than paying attention to this number here. All right. So this matrix here is the breakdown of what the student has turned in. So of the 25 exams total for the course, the student has completed 14 of them. That's probably all 14 that have been assigned, and all 14 quizzes have been graded. That student's score is around 90 for these for the quizzes that have been taken. The student has a strong understanding of what's going on in the course. Tests here, 92%. There's been one test taken and one test graded. I would have to imagine that's also one test assigned. So for that test, the student's scoring well. So I'm not going to go through every one of them, but that's what this matrix is. All right, so there's a lot of information here. Let's go ahead and take a look at a different class and some different colors. All right, so here you can see that once we start hitting about 5% behind, 6% behind, that we're no longer on target. Now we're far enough away from target that it's important that the students spend a little bit extra time here in social studies to get caught up. Now this might just be a significant amount of work assigned in a short period of time that caused the student to get behind. They might have just been behind for a little while. They might have been further behind and they're starting to catch up. But regardless, they're currently right around 6% of the total class behind target completion. So in looking at this, the student may want to spend some more time getting social studies work done to get on target for this class. Okay, so then here is the overall grade, the grade students receiving on the work that has been turned in. Because the student is behind, their actual grade is a bit lower. And in this case, because they're notably behind, their actual grade is notably lower than their overall grade. The student may be interested in spending some more time here. Now, there might be an explanation here as to why the student isn't spending quite as much time. C's here, the 78% and 74%, means that compared to the previous course, the student struggles a little bit more with social studies, and this may be more difficult for them to engage in. So that may be causing the pacing to be a little bit behind. But again, this is information that you have available to have a very specific conversation with your student's teacher about their progress in that particular course. Okay, so in the Edgenuity Middle School Parent Portal, there are only 2 reports. There's the attendance report, which will show you all of your students' activity. So when you come home and you say, hey, how was school today? And they say, I just spent a whole day in Edgenuity. You can pull up the report and say, you know what, absolutely you did. Look at that, you spent 6.5 hours. Or you might pull up the report and go, well, if we're being honest, it looks like you maybe spent 2 hours on Edgenuity. Where did the rest of the time go? And then you can have a conversation again how to make the day more efficient for your student in keeping up with the pace of Edgenuity. Okay. Ultimately, these are data points that you'll want to use to have that conversation with your student's teacher. Definitely open up that communication channel and ask if you have specific questions about what you're seeing and your student's engagement in Edgenuity. So that's going to generally wrap this up. I do have some questions that were submitted in the form that was sent out in the email. Some of them I will I will just share. I'm wondering how many questions are on the final exam of Edgenuity. This is one of those questions that you'll want to address specifically to the teacher of the course that you're in, um, and have that conversation with them, because every course is going to have a different final exam. I do have an attendance question here from one family that is showing their student is showing a number of excused absences, but their understanding is that there should be a much lower amount of absences, or lower amount, excuse me, fewer absences. Um, and what I'll do is I'll have our office staff reach out to you, and I would recommend, again, having a conversation with the teacher when you see that an absence was entered for that teacher. I don't think I know what grade level you are. So if you're one of our elementary families, it would just be the one teacher. If you're middle school, I would reach out to all the teachers and say, you know, for this particular day, my student was marked absent. Could you clarify as to why that might be? I do have a first grade student using an iPad, and they're letting me know that there's some issues with Edgenuity as they try to click the blue button. So I believe this is going to be an iPad issue running iOS 12. So let's see if I can find a first name here. I believe this question came from Dossie. Apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But if your iPad is running iOS 12, it may be that's the issue. So please send me an email and let me know if your iPad is running iOS 12, and we'll see what we can do to get that working more efficiently for you. Okay. I have a suggestion about a standard way to input errors for Edgenuity. So yes, I absolutely understand that. That if you as a family experience an error in working with Edgenuity and you want to report that error, it would be nice to have a fluid way to do that. For Edgenuity Elementary, if you go to our website, again, ecademyk8.aps.edu, and you go to Parents and Edgenuity, we're building this page out for parents. And currently, there is under the K8, on the K8 page, there is a way to submit a ticket to Edgenuity themselves. There are very few things that we can do to change how the program works. Oh wait, excuse me, let me finish reading the statement. That there are a number of errors in Edgenuity quiz and test questions and answers. So if you are in a quiz or a test and you see an inconsistency between the question and the answer, that is something you definitely want to alert the teacher with. So reach out to the teacher, say, you know what, we just finished Module 3 quiz. Question 2 says, you know, how many, I don't know, how many apples are in the basket? And the correct answer obviously is 5, but I answered 5 and it marked it incorrectly. I'm not sure that's a great example, but it's what I have right now. And you feel that that is an error that the teacher needs to be made aware of, definitely don't hesitate. Let the teacher know we were taking this quiz, there was this question, and I believe that there is this error. That teacher at that grade level will likely communicate that to the other teachers at that same grade level, and that way that information gets sent out consistently across our whole grade. Let's start there and then see what we can develop as the year goes on, and see if maybe we can have a ticket reporting system, something like that. But for now, if you reach out to your teacher and let them know, that's going to be best. Next question is, how will we be doing school conferences? So definitely look for communications from your teacher. Again, we are a K-8 school, and conferences might look different from elementary to middle, and we know that time is coming up. Definitely, we were going to be communicating more information, but it is going to come specifically from your teacher, with some announcements coming from our administration through our website. But right now, I don't have anything I can share at this particular moment. Okay? It asks, is there going to be flexibility? We definitely understand that flexibility is like the word of the year. So we are keeping that in mind in our discussions about conferences. And then there's a question about progress report and report cards, how they're going to be given out. I don't really want to speak to too many specifics because I don't want to misspeak. But I do know that a great way to have all of the information at your fingertips is to be properly connected to ParentVue. So if you are able to get into ParentVue, that's perfect. That's a great start. If you are not, again, find me on the contact page, click the envelope, and send me an email, and I can get you connected to ParentVue. But as we finalize what that delivery system is going to be and where you can go to find progress reports and report cards, we will definitely communicate that out to you via school messenger, as well as teachers will be communicating that out as well. And then I have, how do we get an activation code? I think that was sent by Norma. Norma, the process that I'm using right now at this very moment is to go to our contact page at academyk8.aps.edu. Find me on the administration page on our contact us page. I know that's a lot of pages. And click the envelope, send me an email. Please let me know what your student's student ID is. If you can, send me an email from, no, not if you can. Please send me an email from the email that is registered in ParentVue. That way I know that's where the request is going out to, and I can match it up in the system. And if you are an elementary school, if you have an elementary school student, I can get that out to you. And if you have a middle school student, I can get that out to you as well. So I hope, a little redundant, but I hope that's helpful. I think I just hit the 6 questions that were submitted. Let me do a quick refresh. And thank you very much for those of you that took the time to send in a question. With that, I think I will let you send me an email if you have any additional questions, and I'll go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. Thank you so much if you tuned in live or if you're watching this on recording. If you do recommend that someone else view this on a recording, recommend double speed. I'm much more entertaining at twice the speed after the fact. So I don't know how to end videos very well. Thank you very much for joining me, and pardon me while I swap out some screens and learn how to effectively close a live stream. Hopefully you have a great evening, and thank you so much for spending the time with me to learn a little bit more about Edgenuity Family Portals.